a scholar, author, mentor, and civil rights crusader, Dr. Frank W. Hale Jr. impacted the lives of students and colleagues alike. In a career spanning more than 5 decades, he founded such programs as the Graduate and Professional Schools Visitation Days and the Minority Scholars Programs, and mentored a countless number of individuals who carry on his life's work. The new Hale Hall, a historically significant building that now houses the Frank W. Hale Jr. Black Cultural Center, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and the Office of Outreach and Engagement, ensures that future generations will be inspired by his legacy. Listen to those he inspired.
Well, Dr. Hale is truly an iconic figure on this campus. He was so important to the growth of our focus on diversity and inclusion that we want to do everything we can to remind people of that. And to have the center in this building, which is really at the heart of the university, right off the South Oval, at a pathway where students coming from residence to classes pass it every day and can be reminded every day about the importance, not just of Frank Hale, but everything that he stood for. To me, that's just absolutely essential for this institution as we go forward.
And he's been that quiet giant as long as I've known him, and even after his passing, I think his name represents something of value. He's the benchmark for, I think, what other leaders try to aspire to be.
Because, you know, he stood for, in my mind, academic excellence. He really emphasized that we all needed to graduate. I remember, I think we always said something about recruitment and retention, because it wasn't enough to get all of these minority students here and just leave them. We needed to retain them. They needed to graduate. I mean, I had a great experience here. You know, I got a great internship through a connection I made when I was doing my work study in the Office of Minority Affairs.
Dr. Hale, I met him, but he didn't know me. And for him to do what he did for us, not knowing what students will be coming, not having to know us personally, it's amazing. So for someone who doesn't know me to do that for me, I think it's important for me to not only give that back to Dr. Hale, but give that back to the incoming students and let them know that Dr. Hale, long before they knew, really cared about them and wanted them to do excellent here at the university.
Everything I do, it's a commitment to excellence, because I know that's what Dr. Hale has taught all the older population. Commitment to excellence. And you know, I wasn't really a part of the Hale Center when he was here, so I gotta keep telling all the younger students, like, this is what Dr. Hale would want, like, excellence.
I didn't meet him, I didn't have a chance to meet him, but I know what he's done. I know of his works. I hear about it all the time. I see it here as a work study student here. So I know continuing his legacy is important to me. When I come here every day and see his picture.
When he was president of the college, he knew every aspect of how the college operated. And I think he used that ability to help promote and propel the Ohio State University #1 producer of black PhDs in the entire country.
And Dr. Hale really impressed upon that to us as students, that we have to make a difference, that we have to be able to show up, stand up, and be heard.
Dr. Hale always strived for one, that to be the best person that you could be, and that all races and classes bring many values to the table.
The spirit of OSU is just so, it's life. And he lived for this university, and he loved it, and he gave his life, his resources.
Well, Dr. Hale stood for something that was really very important, which is to worry about the core, the soul, the heart of every student, regardless of color, regardless of background. That's who we are. That ought to be part of the description of Ohio State.
Coming to the Hale Center gave me a home. It allowed me to feel like a normal person again. I didn't just feel like a number.
First of all, just being here. I mean, at the Hale Center. This is our place. This was our place for refuge. We would come here probably in between our classes at lunch. Sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, we would end up almost being late to class because we would hang out in the Hale Center, because at that particular time, being an African-American student, you didn't have a full population.
His dream was always to have a more expansive and aesthetically pleasing building for diversity and inclusion and for the cultural center.
And this is a place that becomes a home not only to African American students, but to all of our students, to look at the rich history and the development of a people as a part and core of this country.
This new Hale Center is actually at a major campus crossroads. It's at a place where 42% of the student population of the student housing is right across the street from us.
So now when you pull up on South Campus, you have the Student Union across the street from what was originally the first Student Union. That's now the Frank Hale Center, Cultural Center. That has significance, and that speaks volumes.
One of the things we talked about was how powerful it would be that the place where students first gathered, we often call a union the living room of a university, where students first gathered becomes a place that is the highlight of the university in terms of African American culture, and we're drawing those same students back to this living room of the university.
We are here in this building celebrating inclusive excellence.
Our Black Culture Center is a top tier because not only did we expand the legacy of Dr. Frank Hale, we can talk about people like Dr. Wayne Nelson, who just passed away. We can talk about people like Dr. Helen Emmons, who was the keynote speaker here at Ohio State University and first African American person to receive her PhD. When you have a top tier Black Culture Center, you tell the history of your city, you tell the history of your university, you tell your history of your community, and you tell that to the nation.
It's really powerful to have diversity and community engagement all in one place. And that place is named after my mentor, my friend, my colleague, Dr. Frank W. Hale, Jr.